Hey, what's going on, everyone? So I just left the gym a few minutes ago, and on my way out, I was having a conversation with a young guy who's 22, 23, somewhere in there, and he was talking about how he wants to be good at deadlifting right away, and he doesn't have the years of weight training experience yet to be at the level that he wants to be at. He's just going to have to make those deposits of time and effort and show up consistently for years to reach the level he's wanting to get to. So the biggest thing right now is getting some technical stuff cleared up for him. So when he deadlifts, his hips pop up first before everything else. So what we want to have happen in a traditional deadlift, conventional deadlift here, is if you imagine looking at the body from the side, we want to have a couple different points that are going to create a triangle in the middle of the body. So here's what I mean. We should have a straight line from head to hip, and then we should have that second line go from hip to knee, and the third line that will create the triangle is having the arms drop straight down. So then if you look at somebody from the side with these straight angles, it creates a triangle. Your job as you ascend in the deadlift is to contract your lats very tight so that that triangle closes as quickly as possible, and the dot on the shoulder and the dot on the hip rise together, okay? Now, his issue is that the dot on the hip is popping first, right? So not only is he going to limit how much weight he can lift, it's not as safe, okay? So he has these numbers in his head that he wants to hit, and he's frustrated because he's not hitting those numbers right now. So my advice to him was to drop the weight down a little bit and rework the pattern. And that's something that's difficult for folks to do sometimes because they get so tied into a specific metric or a specific number, and they aren't willing to take a couple steps back so that they can take a giant leap forward later. So I explained it to him like this. Everything you do in the weight room, you're teaching your body a motor pattern. And this guy is from the South, so here's the exact story I told him. I said, hey man, so I'm sure there's some backcountry roads that nobody's went down before, right? He goes, yeah. All right. So imagine you're the first one to go down a road, right? It's not even a road at that point. It's just a little backcountry area in a direct route you wanted to take. So you're gonna have to take a machete, some bushwhacking tools, clear off the path you want to take. All right, so then you start doing that over time, and then that path becomes a little more clear. And then you know what? Then you start bringing some friends with you. They're going to start taking the same path. Then some more people who decide that that's a good path are going to show up, and eventually somebody is going to want to drive their car down that road. So somebody might throw down like some gravel. Yeah, maybe they'll come along and level it. But you know what? If it eventually gets traveled enough, the county would probably eventually pave it. Then if it starts getting very popular, they'll eventually turn it into a little highway. And then maybe it becomes a 4-lane highway, and then a 6-lane superhighway. So that little analogy right there is the exact same thing that happens in your body when you're establishing a motor pattern. So the question is, what type of motor pattern are you establishing? Are you establishing one that has really good technique and foundation? You know, because you're always teaching your body something, right? So it's always learning in some capacity. So you want to make sure that you have great technique, whether you're using a PVC pipe, an empty barbell, or a maximal load, that you have perfect technique or as close to perfect technique as possible. Because the body is always learning. You're always laying that road down, so to speak. And there's some more fancy science terms for that stuff, but for our purposes, let's just go with that analogy. But understand that the technique matters a lot more than the load on the bar. And there is a point where, yeah, you can't get away with just sticking with super light weights all the time, obviously. But especially in that skill acquisition phase, it is crucial to get the pattern down that you want. And then when the frequency is appropriate and you're getting recovered, then we can start dialing up the weight a little bit as long as the technique stays tight. So go through your big foundational patterns that you're hitting in the gym and record yourself from the side. And the second best place to record yourself is the front corner of the platform, so you can actually get a couple different angles of what's going on. And I mean, in fact, why don't you go ahead and record yourself from the front, from the back corner, all of it, and look at different reps, because what this will do is you can see from different angles what your body is doing. It gives you a more well-rounded view of what's going on. And I would actually advocate for keeping your repetitions very low, because it's easier to clean up technique initially when we are keeping the reps very low, because we can get extremely focused on doing 1, 2, maybe 3 reps with perfection, as opposed to, when that fatigue sets in. Because when that fatigue sets in, that's where things start changing just to make it through the set, not necessarily in your best interest. So this is one of the reasons why I am a bigger advocate of more sets with fewer reps as opposed to fewer sets with more reps. So 3x10 versus 10x3, so anyway, just a couple things there for you. But if you have any questions about this stuff, be sure to reach out anytime. So shoot me a message shoot me a DM here on Instagram. You can comment below. You can always schedule a phone call with me, but hop on dynamichp.net. You can reach me there. See you guys later.